start your benefits? Yes and no. It depends on what type of benefits we're talking about. Social Security, Medicare, survivor benefits, spouse benefits, retirement benefits on your own record. So let's get that into all of that today. And that way, at the very least, you can plan so you know what they're going to ask you in the future if you go ahead and file for Social Security benefits. And then there's always exceptions, the exceptions. So that's why I do a live Q&A pretty much every day. I already have a bunch of questions. So let's get into the mandates that Social Security gives you. Okay. So one thing is that a lot of people misunderstand what this is. SSI does not mean Social Security income. It means supplemental security income. It is a welfare-based, needs-based, low-income, low-resources program the Social Security Administration took over in 1974. Obviously, Social Security itself was started in 1935. So this is way decades after Social Security was started. There were basically welfare programs to help disabled people, the elderly throughout the country, and all kinds of different states did it differently. And the federal government decided in 1974 or so to go ahead and kind of take it over and make it one process. So, and they charge Social Security with it because Social Security is in, over 1,200 offices. So supplemental security income, you have to have low income, low resources, and you either have to be disabled, determined by Social Security, be disabled, or aged. So aged means 65 and older. So if you or someone the important part of this program that we're doing is you apply it to yourself and they're like, oh, no, I'm all good. I don't have any issues. Okay, fine. Let's see what's going on around you, your family, friends, relatives, next door neighbors, and everything like that. So please look out for those people. So if you know anybody 65 or older or disabled and they're low income, low resources, tell them to apply for SSI. And when you apply, you apply for both. SSI, supplemental security income, and SSDI. So let's say you're 55 years old. So the Social Security employee takes both SSDI and SSI. SSDI is Social Security disability insurance. It's based on, what you actually paid into Social Security under FICA. But if that amount is low, then they will also take an application for SSI and see if they can get you some more money on SSI. The max you can make on SSI is $967. That is the maximum amount, the SSI. Some states pay a state supplement, but in terms of SSI from Social Security, the max this year is $967. So millions of people are receiving SSDI benefits, $500 from their own record, and then plus another $467 from SSI. And then they receive Medicare and Medicaid and Medicare Savings Program and extra help with the prescription drugs and a dual eligible plan and one of those grocery cards. So there's stuff out there for people that are struggling. The problem is people don't know about it. Okay, so now that you know a foundation of what SSI is, if you are receiving SSI, there are certain things you have to do. And one of the things that's going around there right now in the social media is about the Social Security Administration is looking at everybody's bank accounts and seeing how much money you have. No, that's incorrect. The IRS or some other agency might be doing that, but Social Security doesn't, except for those people receiving SSI. So if you are receiving, welfare benefit, yes, in order to sign up for that program, you have to say, hey, I understand this is for people with low income or low resources, and to make sure I don't get overpaid, I give the Social Security Administration authorization to check my bank account every now and then to make sure I didn't get an inheritance from a long-lost uncle or win the lottery or something like that. So it's only for those people receiving SSI. So people that tell you that, oh no, the Social Security Administration is looking at everybody's bank account, 100% incorrect. It's only those people receiving SSI, okay? All right, so if you're receiving SSI and then you become eligible for any other type of benefit, you have to apply for that other benefit. That is mandatory. So again, SSI, the welfare-based benefits, that comes out of general taxation. It doesn't come out of the Social Security Trust Fund. It comes out of general taxation. And as part of that, if you are, let's say you're approaching the 62nd birthday and you're receiving SSI, Social Security will contact you and say, hey, you're turning 62. You're going to be eligible for retirement benefits on your own record. You have to file for those benefits. It's mandated. You have to file for those benefits because they want you to take benefits on your own record, to take out of the Social Security Trust Fund to help the regular taxation. So if it turns out that, okay, you go ahead and file for retirement benefits at 62, you get $500, same as disability I was just talking about. You get $500 for retirement. And since it's only $500, then they'll give you an extra $467 of SSI. Okay. If you are eligible for spouse benefits at that time, you have to file for those spouse benefits. If you're entitled to survivor benefits, you have to file for those survivor benefits. So this is only for SSI. You're mandated to file. And people on SSI, the logic makes sense. People on SSI say, well, I'm receiving $967 from, SSI. Okay, I'm turning 62, but I don't want to receive my retirement benefits because it's only $800, and I get more of SSI. Yes. And they say, I would rather wait until I'm on full retirement age, until I'm 67. And at that time, I'll get $1,500 or so, 12, 13, 14, and I won't need SSI anymore. Yes, we understand that. It's an illogical, logical, yeah. And it's like, well, if I just wait a few years and collect my retirement benefits later, then I won't need SSI at all. And I'll be, not great, but you understand the logic. Yes, I understand the logic. But unfortunately, Congress has set it up that you have to apply for any other benefit you're eligible for. Okay, so that's SSI. What about everybody else that's receiving just regular old benefits? There is a policy called deemed filing, and it's basically that it changed. There was a law that changed, was in 2015, and it says, okay, before this date, if you were born before January 2nd, 1954, you have this set of rules. If you were born January 2nd, 1954 and after, you have this other set of rules. It's basically right now. So the people that were born before 1954 are already 71 years old, so they're already receiving benefits, so I won't really talk about them. Let's talk about people now that are looking to file. The law changed. You probably heard about this thing called file and suspend. You can't do that anymore. So basically now, if you file for benefits on your own record, then you have to file for any other benefits you're eligible for. So what in the old days people used to do is they say, well, I'll go ahead and file for spouse benefits. I won't touch my benefits, and I'll let my benefits continue to increase until I turn 70 years old and then switch back to my benefits. You used to be able to do that. You can't do that anymore, except for survivor benefits. I'll get into that in a second. So when you file for retirement benefits on your own record, Social Security employee will ask you if you were married to anybody for 10 years or longer, or if you were married to anybody that passed away while you were married to them and you were married at least 9 months, they'll ask you those questions to see if you're entitled to any other benefits out there. And technically, if you're entitled to any other benefits out there, you have to get them the same time you file for benefits on your record. So if you file for retirement benefits and you're eligible for $10, $100, $1,000 from a spouse or a divorced spouse or independently entitled divorced spouse, you're supposed to file for them. Technically. They miss that sometimes. Social Security employees miss that sometimes, particularly when people file online. That's one of the problems of people filing online is Social Security staffing is already way too low. It's been like that for forever, and it's even worse now. Take and Took, one of our regulars, was just mentioning that, let's see, that the GSA, Take and says that the GSA is trying to hire back some of the people that Doge fired because they need those people. And he hopes that that also will continue with Social Security Administration, because Social Security was already down a 50-year low in terms of staffing even before, Doge and Elon Musk came in. So now it's even worse. So it's very difficult to get the help you need to get your benefits. But on the other side, sometimes they, miss instituting policy that they're supposed to. But I would be very careful trying to trick the system, because eventually the system catches up. And if something happens, you fail to file benefits when you're supposed to on a spouse or divorced spouse, and then later when that person passes away or something, they say, hey, you're filing for benefits now, but you should have filed 3 years ago. So we're going to start your benefits 3 years ago. So it's going to be reduced, and you didn't want to do that. And so it becomes a kind of an interesting nightmare. So you just have to make sure that, you do everything correctly, and that the Social Security employees take care. But now at the very least, you know what the issue is. So no more file and suspend. If you file for benefits on your record, you have to file for other benefits as well. But for example, let's say you're filing for benefits on your record, and you're married, and your spouse hasn't filed for benefits yet. You can't file for benefits on your spouse's record, your current spouse's record, because they haven't filed for benefits yet. So that doesn't count. So you file for, this is called kind of a split entitlement type thing, where you file for benefits. Lower earning person usually files for benefits on their own record. The higher earning spouse waits a year, 2 years, or 3 years. So at that time, you don't have to file for benefits on that person's record, because they're not receiving benefits yet. So you just file for benefits on your record, wait the 1 or 2 or 3 years, and when that person files, then you have to file for benefits on those records. So, all right, but there's an exception in the law on survivor benefits. So if you file for survivor benefits, you don't have to file for benefits on your own record. If you file for retirement benefits on your own record, you don't have to file for survivor benefits. So that is an exception. You can pick and choose starting benefits on your own record or starting survivor benefits, delaying one, letting the other accumulate, whatever the case may be. So there are exceptions there. All right. What about other mandatory, where the government forces you to do things? The other one is Medicare. And this is one of the things that people think are mandated, but not really, except for Part A. Part A, if you are currently receiving Social Security benefits, money benefits, and if you're eligible for Medicare, being at 65 years old, or you're getting Medicare after 2 years of being on disability, if you're receiving benefits, money benefits from Social Security, you have to get Part A when you're eligible for it, 65 or whenever. You have to get it. There is an exception. If you have to pay for Medicare Part A, and you say, Ed, nobody pays for Part A. No, that's incorrect. If you have 40 quarters and you paid into FICA, the Medicare part of FICA, and you have 40 quarters, then it's zero premium. But sometimes people only have 30 quarters or 35 quarters. Those people can get Part A, but they'll have to pay for it. And it's less the more quarters they have. So there's some people that have to pay for it. If you have to pay for Part A, the monthly premium, then Social Security technically doesn't force you to get Part A because it's going to cost you. But everybody else, the other 99.999%, you have to get Part A if you're receiving Social Security benefits. If you're not receiving Social Security benefits, then you do not have to get Part A. And you do not have to get Part B or Part D just because you turn 65. A lot of people think, well, I'm turning 65, so I have to start Medicare Part A and Part B and D and C and what all these other letters and stuff. Why do I have to do all that? Well, technically you don't if you have creditable coverage. So if you're currently working, your current spouse, currently working, and you have health insurance from that work, and your employer has 20 or more employees in that group health plan, then you do not have to sign up for Part A or Part B or Part D. Again, Part A, unless you're receiving benefits, at 65. And you don't have to call the Social Security Administration. People, go on to my the live Q&A, which will start here in a second, and people say, okay, hey, I'm turning 65. I got health insurance from my spouse's work, and so I don't need it. So do I need to contact Social Security and tell them I don't want it? No, unless you're currently receiving money benefits. If you're receiving money benefits, then they sign you up automatically. So, but if you're not receiving money, you don't have to contact Social Security and decline it. You just go on with your life. And then when you turn 66 or 67 or 80 or whatever the case may be, and you stop receiving health insurance from current work, then you have to sign up for it. But even then, as we used to say in the Marine Corps, nothing is mandatory, but the repercussions are. So you never really have to sign up for Medicare, except for Part A. You never have to sign up for Part B. But if you don't, then you'll get penalties for the rest of your life. So there's that. But if you had creditable coverage, then you just need to fill out a couple of forms. One of those is to actually sign up for the Part B, the application, the CMS 40B there, and the other one is to avoid that penalty for the rest of your life. You just have to have the employer fill it out and say, yeah. Bob is 70 years old, but Bob had health insurance from work since he turned 65. So don't charge him the 10% penalty for every 12 months, so 50% penalty. Don't charge him that. Leave him alone. Just let him start his Part B and pay the regular monthly premium. And piece of cake, no problem whatsoever. Easy, easy, easy. So that is basically it in a nutshell. And I guess the other mandatory part is FICA taxes, but everybody knows about the FICA taxes. That's a whole different ball of wax. Do you have to pay FICA taxes? Well, if you are super rich, no, not really. For us, if you make under $176,100 for this year, 2025, you have to pay FICA tax out of your payroll, out of your paycheck. Payroll tax, FICA tax for Social Security. You have to pay FICA tax on every dollar you make. And it's 6.2%, and then your employer pays 6.2%. Every dollar you make. If you make over $176,100, you don't have to pay taxes on Social Security anymore, Social Security taxes. You don't pay Social Security FICA taxes anymore. So you just pay it up to $176,100. So if you make $50,000 a year, you're paying 6.2%. You and your employer pays the other. If you're making $500,000, you're paying about 2.18% of your total income into Social Security. So for us regular people, mandatory to pay it on every penny. The rest, that if you're making a lot of money, no, you get out of it. So there's that. And that's the reason why Social Security, the trust fund, is running out, and everybody's going to get a cut of 23% in a few years, because the Social Security trust fund is running out, because more money is going to the top and they don't pay into Social Security like the rest of us. So that is there. Okay, let's go ahead and answer some of your questions. Well, Penelope, regular viewer, always answers people's questions. Awesome. Looks like she's answering somebody else's question. Dr. Weir, why can't Social Security take copies of my marriage and divorce papers now and check that box somewhere on my account? I won't even ever know when it X passes for them to notify me. There's just no place for them to, they don't have a repository of anything like that. That's super awesome, that, because things can change. So when you actually file, that's when they need that. And again, they don't take copies. It has to be the original. And the original means from the issuing agency. So it doesn't have to be the original marriage certificate from 1972 or whatever. If you lost it, you reach out to, that county or wherever you got married and get the, marriage certificate or divorce decree, and they send you an original from that issuing agency with the stamp or the raised seal or something like that. So that's considered the original. So Social Security can't take copies. They can't take notarized copies. They have to see the original. They'll look at the original, check it, they will make copies, and then return your original to you after they stamp it and certify that they saw the original. But if you're worried about an X passing and you're wondering whether one day you will be able to get benefits on that person's record, number one, great that you understand that is an option. So that's very, very good. So you're ahead of the game there. So if you're completely out of touch with an X and you're wondering whether you can ever start benefits on that person's record, just call Social Security about every 6 months and say, hey, sounds like you're not eligible for benefits now because of the way the calculations are, because you're only eligible for up to 50%. But if that person passes, sounds like that then you're entitled to up to 100%. So you're not entitled now, but if the person passes, you're eligible for 100%, up to 100%, if you're a full retirement age. So it sounds like what you're waiting for. So what you do is every 6 months you call and say, hey, how do I put this lightly? I want to file for survivor benefits. And then you give them the information and they look and they say, well, you can't file for survivor benefits because the person is still out there alive and kicking. And you say, okay, all right, well, I'll talk to you again in another 6 months. So, and then when that event eventually happens, which it happens to all of us eventually, then you go ahead and file for benefits on that person's record. So let's see here. Sharon. Hey, Sharon. Retirement. If doing a contract job with wages, but have to pay own taxes, etc., can we take off expenses like mileage? So contract job, are we talking about you get like a 1099, so you're obligated to file your own taxes, and so you're kind of self-employed? Yeah, that's between you and the IRS. But whatever deal you make with the IRS, then the IRS notifies Social Security. So if you're self-employed, yeah, then, but you said wages, but wages, yeah, you can't, yeah, wages are wages. But but a contract job, wages. So if it's wages, then no, it's whatever wage you make, the gross wages, that's what Social Security counts. But if it's a contract job and the wages are like a 1099 where you have to file your own taxes and stuff like that, then yes, you're, Uber driver or whatever, and you maintenance and gas and all that kind of stuff, you take that off, it becomes net income from business. And then you pay taxes based on your net income from business. But if it's wages, then it's wages. So, all right, let's see. Just Shopping asks, I started Social Security September 1st, but still working part-time. How do I report my wages? So if you started it when you filed your claim in July, August, or September, whatever the case may be, then you told them at that time how much you were going to make for the rest of the year. So, if you're going to stay under this, since this is your first year, and I guess you're talking about wages, so that means you're under your full retirement age. So as long as you're under $23,400 for the entire year, then you're good. If you're over that amount for the year, remember, starting September, they can go to the monthly. If you went over $23,400 for the year, September, October, November, December, as long as you're under $1,950, you're good. You don't need to report any wages. But if you told them that you're going to stay under the $23,400 or under the $1,950 a month starting in September, and it turns out you're not, then yeah, I would call them up so you don't get that nasty overpayment. So you just call your local office or call the 800 number. There's ways to do it online, but sometimes it works, sometimes, yeah, anyway. Thanks a million. Your program is so informative. Thank you. And thank you for sharing the information and getting out to other people. There's so many people out there that are struggling and need those benefits they're eligible for, they paid for, but they're not getting it because they don't know how to, to fight the bureaucracy. So please. Sharon, sounds like you're a 1099er. Consult with a tax prep to ensure you get all the approved deductions. Yep, there you go, Steve. Exactly, that's what I thought too. It sounds like a 1099. As soon as she says a contract, but then she says wages, so it probably means, yeah. Anyway. Ed, so many videos of stimulus, I only trust your information. So many videos, I believe, with picture of Trump saying that this is most like your AI. Yes, yes. I show, let me see if I can find, here is how you can determine whether a stimulus is actually going to happen. You have to see this picture. And it's whoever it is, president of the United States at that particular time. Anytime a president gives money to people, as a stimulus, they're going to brag about it and, break their arm, patting themselves on the back of how awesome they are. So if you see the president stand up in front of the American flag, in front of the presidential seal, and it's not AI, and say, I am such an awesome person and you should love me and vote for me forever and immortalize me on Mount Rushmore because I am such an awesome person. I'm giving you extra $50 a month or $300 or $3,000 or whatever the case may be. Until you see that, all that BS on social media about a stimulus is just BS. So it's clickbait. So let's see. Darla, husband filed at 62. Gets SSDI, Now I will be turning 62 in February 2026. Do I have to file for SSI? No, not for SSI. That's the welfare-based program. If you're, if you're struggling and you have a disability, then absolutely go for it. But and you don't even if you don't have SSI, then you're turning 62, you don't even have to file for retirement benefits at 62 if you don't want to. So you can maybe you wait till 63 or 64 or 67 or 70 or whatever the case may be. No, you don't have to file for SSI if you don't want to. And this is a thing that Social Security employees they often don't do a good job of explaining this. And it causes them a lot of problems, and they should just get it right. So my employees always made sure they understood this. When you apply for disability benefits, the Social Security employee is supposed to what we call address both programs. And both programs mean both forms of disability, of the disability benefits, SSI and SSDI. So if you go in to file for Social Security disability benefits, they take a claim for both. But if during the claim for SSDI, they determine, oh, okay, you're insured for regular Social Security disability insurance and your benefit amount is going to be $1,500 or $3,000 or something like that. So that's way over the $967. So I'm just going to go ahead and close this out, the SSI, the welfare part, because you're going to be making more money over here. So they go ahead and they essentially, I lost my little thingy there. They go in there and deny the SSI. And what happens is you get a letter. As soon as they deny something, a letter goes out, and people that file for disability benefits last week, they get a letter the following week, and it says, we denied your application. And they're like, oh my gosh, Social Security sucks. No, it's only for that one part of the program. So read on the top, it'll say supplemental security income. And you'll know, oh, okay, yeah, because I'm going to make more money if they approve me on SSDI, or I've got too much money in the bank, or my spouse works, and that's why I'm not eligible for the welfare-based benefit. And so I got a letter that says, yes, you're not eligible for that. So don't worry about that. They're still going to continue to work on your disability part, the medical part, talk to your doctors and all that kind of stuff. So Social Security employees, save yourself some aggravation of people calling the office and say, you dirty rats, I just applied last week and you already denied me. And then you have to do the whole explanation. Oh, no, that's only the SSI part. We're still working on your SSDI part. And we should have told you that when you filed. But anyway, but again, that's another problem when people file for benefits online is they don't get that. So it's another problem of, moving to the internet and AI. So, Andrea, did I understand this right? If we got TRICARE for life, we can get the 185 from Plan B back. Who can we contact to get it back? No, you didn't understand that right. There is if you have TRICARE, you have to get Part B. And you have to pay the $185. There is there's a couple of ways to get the $185 paid for your Medicare Part B. One is to apply for Medicaid. So if you're low income, low resources, you applied for Medicaid from your particular state. And if they approve you, they will pay for your $185. Probably if you're receiving TRICARE for life, then you're probably receiving veteran pension and stuff like that. So you're probably, not eligible for that, but maybe. The other way to get your Part B paid for is called a Medicare Advantage Part B Give Back Plan. And if you have TRICARE for life, you don't need anything else. You have Medicare Part A, Part B, and TRICARE, and so you're good. So I wouldn't even recommend getting a Medicare Advantage. Some people, get the Part B just because they want to get the Part B and they're, whatever. But our partners there at Chapter who sponsor this live Q&A, they don't recommend people with TRICARE for life get anything else. You definitely don't get a Medicare supplement plan because your TRICARE for life is your Medicare supplement plan, and why pay for something else? But some people get that with TRICARE for life get a Medicare Advantage plan, and you're good. Here in Illinois, a dire need request was made in June. Initial and reconsideration stages were denied. December court date has been moved to October after 2 years and at 61 and disabled. Yeah, that's pretty much, unfortunately, par for the course across the country. Is that to get to that administrative law judge stage, it takes a good year. So, and you've already gone through a year and a half or so of the initial, the initial and the reconsideration. So you've already gone through those two steps, and that might, that probably took, a year and a half, 2 years, and then you have to wait another year. It's all completely unacceptable, completely unacceptable. But that's the way our politicians designed it, because they want to make Social Security the worst system in the world, customer service wise, and let the trust fund run out and let people get their cuts, because they eventually want to give it over to Wall Street. So they're trying to destroy our faith in the Social Security system, and they're doing a very, very good job. People are buying it hook, line, and sinker. But all you have to do is pull back the veil and see that, who the wizard is. Does CDR clock start counting from disability award letter date, or when the disability began? When the disability began. So, and if you know what it is, the 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, or whatever the case may be, then just kind of plan for that. But just make notes. On my new website that we're doing, we're going to have people helping other people with CDRs, and making sure, and most importantly, not stressing over CDR. So, Iman 64, don't stress it. If you get the CDR in the mail, then worry about it that day. Don't worry about it a year or 2 years before that. Obviously plan for it in terms of, go get a cheap little journal, dollar journal, and then write down, okay, I saw the doctor at this time and I saw him for this, and the medication makes me feel bad on this, and here's stuff like that. Just kind of make a really quick thing, and that way when you get the packet in the mail next year or 2 years or 3 years from now, then it's even easier. So you just pull out your journal and fill it out and send it in and forget about it. So Daniel, I plan on filing for Social Security on May 2026, age 62. I want to file for SSDI. I have chronic conditions that may apply. Want to try. I like it. Good. Is there an issue with this? I still plan on apply at 62. Nope, Daniel, that is called a rib dib. A rib dib. That means you're filing for retirement benefits, retirement insurance benefits, and DIB, disability insurance benefits, at the same time, which more power to you. A lot of people do that because, so if your disability prevents you from working, then you file for disability. And if you also happen to be at least 62 at that time, you understand that, okay, hey, the disability, as someone just mentioned, takes a year, 2 years to get approved. Unless your disability is just really, really bad, then sometimes those get approved like the next day or within a week or so. But under normal circumstances, it takes a long time for your disability to be approved. It's a decision to be made. And you still have to pay the rent and mortgage and buy food and stuff like that. So that's why people do both at the same time. So you file for disability benefits, you get that process started, and while you're waiting, you get some money coming in. So, but with the understanding that if you're eventually approved for disability benefits, depending on when they determine your disability began, you might get, you might have a little bit of reduction. But again, it really depends and when your disability began. But it's just based on you've already taken X amount of months. So, but that's a weird calculation you don't need to worry about. Just, do your thing. Do your thing. Lynn, so now he owes overpayment, which is fine. We reported it right away. He has been getting 2 direct deposits since March. Got the overpayment letter 2 days ago. We never spent the money. Yeah, if you get an overpayment, then absolutely. Okay, so you go ahead, and it sounds like you've already got the money sitting there. And if you choose to go ahead and refund that money to the Social Security because you agree with it, then hey, more power to you. But Social Security, if you look on my website, mygovexpert.com, click on the little overpayments there, and it tells you, your options. You can pay the full amount, which you might be interested in, or you can request a waiver, but it sounds like you kind of agree with it and you don't disagree with the decision perhaps. Or you can request a payment plan up to 60 months, 0 interest. So yeah, not many people just pay the whole thing. Some people do, but yeah. So there's that. Cindy, I will be 69 soon. I didn't take my Social Security yet. If I take it and keep working, how does my increase for another year? Yeah, you're 69 years old, so your benefits are continuing to increase, and they'll increase until you turn 70 years old, and then they'll max out the month you turn 70. But if you're continuing to work and paying into Social Security, your benefits will increase if that year is one of your high 35 years. So if it's one of the high 35 years, then Social Security will look at it when they get that information the following year during tax season, and they'll look at it and say, hey, this is Cindy. Last year was Cindy's one of her high 35 years in her life. So let's kick out the low one. We'll stick in this new one and we'll recalculate and you'll get an increase in benefits. So it's a beautiful thing. Let's see here. What else we got here? Nina, if you get married on benefits, do you need to notify Social Security for future spouse benefits? No, not necessarily. If you think you're eligible for benefits on your new spouse, then yeah, definitely contact them so you can get an application started. But if you're not, no, you don't, need to notify Social Security until you actually want to file a claim. So you don't need to notify them right now. But other than, I guess, if you're going to change your name to your married name, then you contact Social Security and change your name. So for changing your name, you download an SS5, which is a Social Security card application. And you're like, I don't need a Social Security card. I'm just getting married. Yes, but you need to change your name if you want to on your record. So you download it's a SS5 Social Security application. You put your name there, and then you just put the name you want to change it to, and you have to provide proof. The name change based on the marriage, or if you're getting divorced, that you're going back to your prior name or something like that, and Social Security can change your name, no problem whatsoever. And that updates in the system. Medicare gets the name change and all the rest of it. So, Steel Whisperer, I just got an early Social Security approved, but need spouse benefits. How do I go about doing that? And do I have to send original birth certificate and marriage license? Can't I go to local Social Security office? So I just got, so you got your early Social Security. So you started that. Yeah. So you were supposed to, sounds like, file for benefits, as I just talked about. When you file for benefits on your own record and you're eligible for benefits on another record, then you have to file for benefits on those. You won't need your birth certificate because you already filed for benefits on your own record, and if they started benefits on your record, they've already addressed the birth certificate type thing. A marriage license doesn't work. A marriage license is the license you get to allow you to get married. Doesn't mean you got married. People get licenses all the time, and then they say, oops, forget about that, and then they head to Mexico or wherever. So you actually have to have, the proof that you actually went through with the ceremony. So some people, yeah, they waste their time and they take a license down there, but that's, it has to be the marriage certificate. So, and not, some, kind of one that you hang up in the wall type thing by, whatever church or synagogue or mosque or whatever the case may be that shows, kind of the celebration of it. It has to be the actual marriage certificate. So from the issuing agency, because Social Security recognizes state marriage and divorce law. So it has to be from the state, or the county or whatever. So. Cindy, I'm almost 69 and not, oh, okay. All right. I already answered that one. Dar was looking at my 26 Medicare book I received, and there's not a list of states that offer supplement to someone under 60. Do you have a list of the states? The supplement, are we talking about Medicare supplement plans? They're available in every state. like a Plan N or Plan G or Plan F. Some states like Massachusetts, and Massachusetts always does weird things, and I think Minnesota, Wisconsin. Anyway, but they basically have a Medicare supplement look-alike that looks like an N and looks like a G. But yeah, it won't have it in the Medicare and You book because those are private plans, private health insurance. So you just need to find someone you trust. You can reach out to Chapter there, and they can find a Medicare supplement plan in your area. And go through all your options. They have to, by law, tell you about Medicare supplement plans. They also have to tell you about Medicare Advantage plans, and then the Part D plans, and all the differences between those. And that way you can make a well-informed decision on what is appropriate to you. So I get to comment sometime. I don't want to call Chapter. They push Medicare. No, they have to talk about Medicare Advantage plans. If you call a broker or anybody and they don't tell you the whole story, then they're not doing things right. They're not doing what's called a compliant presentation. So yeah, they have to tell you about everything. And then, you can preempt them and say, yeah, I understand this. I don't want that. I want this. And then, yeah, I think they're still supposed to tell you about it and stuff. So you might have to sit there and listen to it, and even though you don't want it. But anyway, there's that. All right. And then the important thing now is because a lot of people are getting that annual notice of change, if you are going to be checking your Medicare Advantage plan, your Part D plan, maybe seeing if there's a cheaper Medicare supplement plan, you want to make sure that whoever you talk to, you're prepared. Because the most important thing is, this is all crazy complicated, and you don't want to regret your decision, when it comes next year, January, February, March, or April, or whatever. So it's important. I don't care who you talk to, your brother that helps people with Medicare Advantage, or a high school buddy, or whatever, the niece or nephew or whatever. You just have to make sure you're prepared. You know what your current plan is, so you compare, apples to apples. What providers you definitely want to keep, a particular physician or a hospital or clinic you definitely want to keep. You have to make sure your prescriptions, and the prescriptions and the dosage, and whether it's extended release and all that kind of stuff. So you want to make sure you pick the company that has your prescription and it's at a reasonable price. If you want a particular pharmacy, if you want that plan to cover a particular pharmacy, you have to make sure you have that available. And your priorities, what do you need? Do you need more dental? More vision? Do you want the cheapest, hospital price per day? And then, because so many people are changing, need a little bit of patience. If you call anybody on October 15th, you might not get them. This is going to be 2026 is going to be a crazy, crazy season. But you have until December 7th, October 15th to December 7th to review your plan, change your plan. And then your new plan begins January 1st, 2026. And so if you need help, Chapter is there to help you. And they also help you after the fact. So can Chapter help with open market health insurance for 60-year-old person? No, they're not doing the marketplace. But if you go into my description there, it has the Health Sherpa where you can give them a call and they can help you out. So it's a different company. Let's see here. Rick, what do all the poor people do when April 15th comes and they aren't having taxes taken out of their Social Security check? Well, maybe you're talking about the fact that the current administration is continuing to give incorrect information and saying, big, beautiful bill, there's no tax on Social Security. And the current president keeps saying that. I passed no tax on Social Security. I made the campaign promise that I'm not going to tax Social Security, and look, I did it. No, he did not. It's only a deduction, a $6,000 deduction if you're single, $12,000 if you're married. But about 50% of people don't even pay taxes on their Social Security benefits. So there's that. Yeah, so if people believe that and they take action based on what the president continues to say, then yeah, they're going to be in a world of hurt with the IRS. Let me see here. Steve, you should AI a pic of yourself in front of that podium since you have and are helping so many people get the benefits they earn. Yeah, you know what? I would AI hair first and then the podium second. But anyway, there's that. I started SSDI August 2025. I'm fully approved, but my second date of disability, second year of dated disability is 2/26. Will then become available for Medicare after 2 years. 40 work credits. Yep. Thank you in advance. Yes. So a lot of people don't realize that they just get approved and they're like, oh, okay, great. I just got approved last week or last month. And then so that means I will get Medicare in 2 years. Okay. Possibly. Not Lady Gaga, because she was approved with back pay. So technically, it sounds like you've already fulfilled the 2 years, even though you weren't receiving a check for the last 2 years, but you're going to receive a big lump sum check here. And so they took your disability back 2 years. So your Medicare, your Medicare card is probably in the mail. So you just have to figure out, what do you want to do to cover all the gaps of original Medicare. In most states, because you're on disability, you probably won't be able to get a Medicare supplement plan in most states. It depends on your particular state. The only option is a Medicare Advantage plan. But for those people out on disability that have disability and in their state, they could only get a Medicare Advantage plan, when you turn 65, you can get a Medicare supplement plan. And there's no health underwriting or anything like that. So you can switch to a Medicare supplement plan. A lot of people don't know that. So they can't charge you extra and they can't deny you for any pre-existing conditions. So does anyone know anything about the supplement plan, Part G? Yeah. So it's one of the Medicare supplement plans, also called Medigap plan. And that's kind of like the new F. There's 10 letters of Medicare supplement plans. Again, they're all, pretty much the same in every state except for 1 or 2 states. But anyway, so the old Plan F covered every gap in original Medicare. So original Medicare has 6 gaps, and Plan F covered every one of those. Plan G covers all of those gaps except for the Part B deductible. So if you have a Plan G, you have to pay $257 annual deductible one time, and then Medicare and your Medicare supplement covers everything else. If you get a Plan N, then same thing. You have to pay the $257. Then you might have some excess charges. Most doctors don't charge excess charges. And then you'll pay a little copay, up to $20 to see a doctor for an initial kind of visit, and then up to $50 for an emergency room, unless you're admitted to the hospital right after that. So, and again, you can reach out to Chapter and they can give you options and tell you what Plan G is available in your particular area. They can go through all the companies. And again, a Plan G is a Plan G in your state. It's just about the price and that company. There's some Medicare supplement companies out there that kind of lowball you and to sign up. And then a year or 2 years later, then they start raising the rates. And Chapter has the information on all those, and it says, yeah, this one's a low ball. This one's about $5 or $10 more, but their increases, aren't as much as this other one. So, anyway, if my husband passed, God forbid, I agree, what I get of his benefits, even though my benefits is higher, he still works, wants to wait until full retirement. If your benefits, it depends on how old you are. So if that event happens, you can actually switch to survivor benefits, possibly depending on some variables. But usually, no, you're already getting if you're already getting the higher benefit amount, then you wouldn't get any other benefits on his record. So except for that lovely $255 lump sum death benefit. So, and yeah, which is embarrassing. That's why we partnered up with David DeFore. So if you're looking for final expense burial insurance to take care of those people that you leave behind, reach out to them and they'll help you out. But yeah, if your benefit is higher, then That's pretty much it. You'll just get the $255. But here's an option, just throwing it out there. If he is, he's 67 and his full benefit amount at 67 is lower than yours, sounds like, then nothing, right? Again, if you're your full retirement age at that time, then nothing. You'll continue to get the higher benefit on your own record. But let's say he delays his retirement until 70. And then every year you wait to file for your benefits after your full retirement age, Social Security adds 8% to your benefit amount. So let's say his benefit amount is $1,000. So if he waits till 70, his benefit amount will be $1,240. Right? So it's called delayed retirement credits. And as a spouse, you're not eligible for those delayed retirement credits, but as a surviving spouse, you are. So maybe at 67, his benefit amount, you won't get. But if he waits till 70, then there might be more money there. But again, I'm just throwing it out there as an option. So after fraud, you can make as much money as you want. It does not affect Social Security benefit. That is 100% correct. Yep. Might affect your Medicare, that IRMA, income-related monthly adjustment amount, but yeah. But it doesn't affect your Social Security benefit. Negatively, might increase your benefit, right? Rose, I'm on SSDI and widow benefits. Now I'm turning 62 in November. Is my SSDI will continue? Yep, absolutely. And a lot of people freak out about that because they say, well, I don't want to get, so Rose is good. So she's smart. She did the right thing. There's way too many people out there that say, well, I'm getting SSDI disability benefits. And if I get widow's benefits, surviving spouse benefits, widower benefits, all the same thing. If I get those benefits, then I'll be switched to widower benefits, and then I'll be canceled out of SSDI, which is fine because I'm making more money. But because I'm not receiving disability, my Medicare will stop too, because I'm not 65 yet. Rose knows that that's not the fact, so she's smart. But there's a lot of people out there walking around that have extra money available to them, but they're not as smart as Rose, and they don't get that money. So please subscribe and like and share so more people get this information. But in your turn, for you, Rose, your SSDI will continue. Your retirement benefits on your own record, yeah. Don't file for retirement benefits on your own record unless you want to stop disability in Medicare, because you're going to be canceling disability. Your disability benefits are higher than your retirement benefits. If you switch to retirement, you'll lose Medicare, and you'll get less money because if you take retirement benefits at 62, it's reduced. So you just stay on SSDI and surviving spouse benefits, widow benefits, same thing again. And Medicare, and you just go on with your life. Yep. So you don't have to do anything at 62. The only thing you should do, so you've already got a Medicare plan, make sure you check your Medicare plan in this season here to make sure you've got the best one. And then if you've got a Medicare Advantage, which you probably do in most states, remember at 65, then you can check out a Medicare supplement plan and see if it's better for you. So. And if it's not, you just keep on keeping on. Some people take their deceased spouse's lower benefit and let their own grow, but no, you would not get any additional higher amount. Yes, Penelope. Penelope's always right. Yeah, there is an option to where you, and as I mentioned, that deemed filing doesn't count for survivor benefits. So if you're 62 years old, let's say, and you are eligible for two benefits, retirement benefits on your own record or survivor benefits, you can choose. And sometimes people choose the lower benefit. So they choose, let's say, the lower surviving spouse benefits. Their benefits on their own record is a little bit more. But if they don't touch benefit on their own record, their own benefits will become even more. So they get to survivor benefits, and then before the age of 70, they switch back to their own or they switch to their retirement benefits and get even more. Or vice versa. They file for retirement benefits and wait for their survivor benefits to increase. But their survivor benefits will only increase at the max until you hit your full retirement age. So let's see here. Get some people I'd never seen before. Okay, Kevin. I think Kevin's new. Hey, Kevin, what's up? Plan to live in France when I am 62 and begin collecting Social Security. Will be on their health care when I turn 65. Don't plan to buy Plan B. If I ever have to come back to the United States, will I be penalized? Yes. If you ever come back to the United States. Well, there's some countries, I'm not sure, and they change all the time. There's some countries, if you're part of the national healthcare system, then it's considered creditable coverage. I'm not sure about France. Even though I went to high school in Paris, I don't know about, because I went to high school in Paris, Texas. And yes, Paris, Texas does have an Eiffel Tower. And yes, it does have a cowboy hat on top of it. So anyway, so it's a whole different pair. And they do celebrate Bastille Day. So anyway, storming of the Bastille. Anyway, so that's neither here nor there. But I would check, probably the people that would know the best would be the embassy, the U.S. embassy or consulate in France somewhere, and say, hey, is the national health coverage in this country, creditable coverage so I don't have to sign up for Medicare? And if they say yes, then you're good. But if no, then if you do come back to the United States, yes, you will have to pay a penalty, 10% for every 12 months you didn't have it. That's for Part B. And Part D, there's a penalty for Part D as well. So I called the 800 number and got through really fast. Oh, I was shocked. Yeah, about 4 minutes. Got an appointment in October. Yay, IEDS, here it comes. All right, good deal. IEDS, yeah, that's another one a lot of people don't know about. Independently entitled divorced spouse. So music rocks my world. Okay. Sounds like she is eligible, he or she is eligible for benefits on an ex-spouse's record. And the ex-spouse is at least 62 years old. They don't have to be receiving benefits. And they've been divorced for 2 years. That's called, those are the eligibility requirements for the independently entitled divorced spouse. A lot of people aren't getting those benefits. But because I've seen Music Rocks My World 1158 several times before, I know he or she is a regular. So that's why going to get that money. So we need to help a lot more people out there get that money. All right, we've got, let me since I lost my my headset here, let's see if this thing works.
Hi, Dr. Ed, this is Nick. I'm 72 years old. I'm not very good health. My wife is 50 years old. I just got married with her 2 years ago. I wonder, in the event that I pass away, when she can collect my Social Security benefit of survival benefit. Thank you very much.
Okay, so she has to be 60 years old to collect survivor benefits in normal circumstances, unless she is disabled. There is a program called Disabled Widows Benefits. If she is disabled and became disabled between the age of 50 and 59, she can file for benefits, disabled widows benefits on your record. But her disability has to begin, before 7 years within 7 years of your passing. But if she's not disabled, then she can collect survivor benefits at 60 years old. But there's just limitations, the amount she can work at that time. So, all right, we got one more question here.
How long does it take when they make a decision after you finally wait all that time with an attorney to appeal, which we did for my son? Do they start helping him with a check? How long does it take them to get the system and send him a check, doctor?
Super short answer. Way, 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 way too long. And why? Because that's the way politicians on both sides, Politicians love dividing us. They're making us look left and right, but so we don't look up and see the people that are, trickling down on us. But yeah, way too long. So for initial claim for disability, we're talking 6 to 9 months. If you get a appeal that under reconsideration, another 6 to 9 months. The administrative law judge takes another year on top of that. Way too long, unfortunately. Everything across the board to get anything approved. And sometimes people get very, very lucky and they call, and a simple call to get an appointment set up. Got very, very lucky and got in 4 minutes. But hopefully once they get set up and get that claim started, hopefully it's adjudicated in a timely fashion. But how do we solve that? Is we get our politicians, our duly elected representatives, well, Citizens United, I don't know. But you reach out to your politicians and say, hey, why is customer service so bad? Why do we have to wait so long? It's because we don't want Social Security to be awesome customer service, because then everybody will love it and, protect it. And then that's going to be very hard for us to give it to our billionaire buddies and make kickbacks and profits and all that kind of stuff. And then again, this is 40 years of failure. So this happened during this administration, the previous administration, the administration before that, and the administration before that, and all the politicians for the last 40 years have failed to fix this. And here's where we are today. So they're doing a great job of kicking the can down the road because that's exactly what they want to do. So unless you reach out and say, hey, what's going on? And they're one way that the politicians, you can reach out to politicians is you go to their website. You can call them up. Call their office in Washington, D.C. or their local, office in your particular state, or you can go online, and all of the politicians, congresspeople, senators, and everybody on their websites have, I need help with a federal agency, little button there. So you click on the thing, I need help with a federal agency, you put in your information there, and you push the button, and the person that's in charge of that, reaches out to Social Security and checks and says, hey, what's going on? And in offices, when you get what that's called a congressional, the Social Security office is supposed to address that within 24, 48 hours. So in my office, if I ever got a congressional, then I would take it to our best people. Hey, Deb, hey, Val. And they always knocked it out of the park and reached out to the person and said, okay, I got your request. I understand your frustration. Here's what I'm going to do, yada, yada, yada. And then, I usually had them reach out to those people to tell them, hey, we heard you. We're going to start working on this, that, or the other. So, yeah, but it shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be like that. So, all right, we are over an hour. We're out of time. I'll be back again tomorrow. We'll do another live Q&A. I'll come up with another topic tomorrow, do a live Q&A. So if I didn't get to your question today, I apologize, but I will be back again tomorrow. Y'all have an awesome, awesome, awesome day. And please, please, please take care of each other. Bye-bye.